So today, this conversation is kind of inspired by a question that, through a podcast. I was listening to old Nerdist episodes because I'm really far behind on that podcast, but it's neither here nor there. Norm Macdonald was on and just talking to Chris Hardwick, and Norm posed this question to Chris and said, "Let's say you could go to like the most beautiful island in the world." You be there with like the most beautiful woman that like of your dreams or whatever. You just have the best time. There's no limits. Like you have everything you need and want and desire. But once you got home, you wouldn't remember it. Would you do it? So I kind of translate that to like, could you or would you, if you could do anything you wanted. If you could have an experience that's at whatever amount of time and there's no limits on finances and stuff, if you could have the most beautiful, amazing experience of your life, would you do it if you couldn't even remember it? And he kind of posed this question because they were talking about like living in the moment a lot and things of that nature, and so that's kind of why he brought it up. And I'm not going to go into whatever they answered, but that's what prompted me. I was like, I started thinking about it because to me the answer was like so obvious for me, but and then I started thinking about why and whatever. And just like, no, I wouldn't do it. Like, no, for me, it's like really obvious, and like, and so I'm really curious other people's thoughts on this. If you take some time to think about it, I would love to hear other people's thoughts because this is an area where I'm like. To me, I know the other people, including one of them, had a different response than I did, which is like, no, I wouldn't do that. Why would I do that if I can't remember it, right? Like, to me, my brain is just wired in such a way, or I have just, like, conditioned myself in a way that I'm just like, the memory of things, the collection, the documentation of things is so much more important than the experience in the moment itself. But that's because, to me, it's like it didn't happen. Like, if I could just live in that moment, and it's only a finite amount of time. It's not like, oh yeah, let's live in this moment for 60 years and that's when you'll forget it after that for the last like couple years you have left of your life. Like no, it's more of like, yeah, let's say you could do this thing for a week and then it's gone, it's out. So I wouldn't, for the rest of my life I wouldn't know that I did it. So I have a thing where like I obviously even right now I am documenting myself. I'm documenting my thoughts on this specific subject, but I mean, in the vlog, I started documenting things, and it's kind of fun, and it's almost like a visual photo album, and like my personal feelings and stuff. And I think that, I like to take photos a lot, especially when I'm in company, and if I'm traveling or whatever, I take photos. If I see, like when I'm just hanging out in Lethbridge or wherever else, or even in Saskatoon. If the only time I take photos when I'm not in company, really is if I see something that's like it's more of an artistic photo. Put it that way. The composition of what's in front of me is really fantastic. And so when I go traveling to other places like BC, it's like, oh, it's beautiful. Like wow, these mountains and there's a double rainbow. And so, I just like to take photos. Like I said, especially when I'm in groups of people, I like Photo Ninja and like whatever else. I like to document that stuff. I like the fact that there's a record there that I can go back and I can look at. And I like to share it too. I like to share everything. Like, not everything, obviously, but I mean, parts of myself, like my art, my writing, like my thoughts on stuff, and maybe it comes to me just being some self-important, pompous, whatever. But I just like, some of it is because like, oh, I think my thoughts have value, and some of it is just, I just want to share all the things. I don't know, so that's like self-esteem and stuff too, because I want people to interact with it. I want to connect with people. We talked about this like the very first video I ever made because it's about legacy and connection, and then I had a conversation with Laura Lee about that. So you can go back to week 0 or week 1 and look at that, but because that relates. But that's the thing. So I am a person who likes to document. I like to remember things. I like to have visual evidence of it, though, not just like remember it in the old noggin or do journal entries that I write, because my writing doesn't have anything to do with documenting, like, this is what happened this week, this is whatever. The vlogs kind of do, and it's kind of fun to make them and have that evidence there, and obviously it doesn't show everything, and it's probably only the real positive stuff, even though I feel like I do document and talk about harder, more difficult times in my life. I try to, whatever, just express whatever I feel the need to express. So, yeah, anyway, that the little rant was just me saying, like, yeah, I'm a person that likes to document stuff, so maybe that's why I'm more inclined to want to have memories of these things that I've done. If I did something super crazy amazing for a week and it was the best time of my life, and I'll never be happier, if I can't remember that, I just don't see the point. I don't get it. This is why I really want people's feedback, especially if you feel different, or if there's something like, I don't know, ask me more questions. But I mean, it's just that thing where, like, what is the point? Like, why? That's just the question. Why? I don't get it. I know, like I said, the way that Norm had set up the question and stuff was to challenge this notion of living in the moment, or how we're not living in the moment enough, because they were talking about Alzheimer's and stuff too. It's like those people are always living in the moment. That's all they can do, right? Like, for the most part, because they don't have control of what they remember and when and how far and all that stuff. Like, the recall isn't there, so they're constantly living in the moment, which I don't remember what it was. I think there was a comedian I was watching, a different comedian, a couple weeks ago that had a bit about that as well, and being like how it really brought them to, like, this, I think it was their grandma or something. It really brought them to this place where they, it was Aziz Ansari. Anyway, where, like, it reminded him to live in the moment. It's like, you know, even though some things are like, yeah, she kept asking me the same question, like, a bunch, but it was also like, all that she knows is this moment right now, and then it's just, anyway. It's an interesting concept because, like I said, I understand the way that it was introduced in the context it was introduced in the challenge, but I still don't feel like, I just don't feel like that it's not enough. Like, I know I need to live in the moment more. I know I need to be more present, and part of that would be not doing this in a way. Like, I mean, some people would argue that, like, oh, being on social media, period, like, sometimes is you not being in the present, right? And I mean, I obviously have a very, well, not obviously, but I'm telling you, I have a more unhealthy relationship with social media than I do a healthy one. I have good friends that, you know, the main reason they keep that is so that they can see very few people, their like adventures or their photos or whatever, but mostly it's like, yeah, some of them don't even have Facebook on their phone, but they have the Messenger app on their phone because we have conversations, like a chat that's been going on for years, and so that's the way we interact because we're not in the same cities. But I mean, like, some people have way healthier relationships with social media and they're still on it, whereas I am on it too much. It interferes with my present. I've talked about this before too, about, there was a conversation, I don't remember what week it was, about, like, I don't remember how I worded it or the title, but it was about, like living your life versus sharing your life, something like that. So these are things that have been on my mind that have been brought up before, but again, this was just like a big thing, and to me it was like obvious, like, no, I would not go and do that amazing thing for a week and have the best time of my effing life. If I just can't, if I don't remember it, then again, what is the point? You know, there's obviously a balance here. I'm not defending that I need to document everything because that's the most important thing. It's like, no, I do need to focus more on living in the moment, and I think that's been more on my mind a lot. One, because things like biking and trying to take care of my mental health more, and realizing the anxiety that I have, all that going hand in hand, and realizing what are other times where I am in the moment. Okay, when I create art, or when I'm with a certain person sometimes, and, like, I just need to put that other stuff away, and, like, that's been on my mind, and talking about it makes it more on my mind as well. And so the more I talk about it and think about it, the more likely it is that it will change sooner rather than later. So these things are on my mind, and that's the thing. I'm not defending, like I said, where I'm at, because I'm not in a healthy place with my documenting the moment, and sharing the moment, and then whatever else. It can be excessive, like my social media, which is to me tied to, like, documenting and whatever, and the FOMO thing, the fear of missing out, of being somewhere else, or someone else trying to connect with me when I'm hanging out with somebody, and then I'm like, oh, what's this? Like, oh, I got an email from this person, and a Facebook message from this person, and then, like, I'm getting a text, and, like, someone snapped me a video, and, like, you know, it's as simple as just being like taking this and just being like, okay, let's put that right there and leave it there, though. And I try to do that. You know, it's just I need to get better at it. That's all it comes down to. I need to get better at it, and moderate. I just keep coming back to this big question to see where else I can go with it, because I just don't. To me, again, it's so much of a no. Who would want that? Who would want an experience they're not going to remember? I don't remember every single thing that's ever happened to me. Like I don't remember every single time I haven't documented them all, but the ones I have documented, I have gone back and like enjoyed, being like, oh yeah, I remember that. That was really great. And then we had a conversation once about nostalgia being a useless emotion. So that's another thing. Again, this is something I've talked about a bunch and I've been thinking about a lot because of needing to put myself more in the present for my own mental health. But on this huge scale of like, if you could have the most amazing time of your life but not remember it, like I think that's, I don't know, it's an interesting, I guess like a conversation starter or like a party piece. I don't know what else to call it. But I would love to hear, because I mean, whatever Norm said, like, no, I wouldn't do that, I need to remember it. And then Chris was like, no, I think I would do it. And like I wish they went more into it, because I'm like, why? Like, why would you do that, it just seems so, I don't know, even if it's a week long, like I said, I don't remember every single thing that's ever happened to me, but I mean, if it was the best time of my life and I just did it for a week and couldn't remember it, I know that says something about me, and I still haven't figured out exactly what it is, even though I've been trying to for like 10 minutes. I'm trying to focus more on the present, and sometimes it means I can't document it, right? Which is fine in some regards, but like I'm trying to think, like, what does that say about me, or what does that say about someone who will go and do that trip and then or that vacation or whatever it is, and then not remember it, and they're willing to do that because they find that really important. What does it say about them? What does it say about me? I can't seem to figure it out. I just can't. I can't seem to just figure out whatever that is. I don't know. Like, I don't want. Maybe it's because I'm just whatever. I'm in a state of transition. I'm struggling and trying to figure that out. Of like, I want to be more focused on the present. I want it to be more important to me. I want to be live and live in right now and just be happy with that and not pull out I just want more meaningful interaction. I do, and I struggle with it all the time, and any one of my friends that hangs out with me in person will tell you that. I don't know where else to go with it. I really, more than any other thing I can think of right now that I've ever recorded, I would love to hear feedback on this, because it's like research. Like, I don't even know. I'm like, please expose me to this idea and why you feel this way. If it's similar to me even, but you've got different reasons, or if it's like really out there, or not really out there, but if it's way further away from my thoughts. Like, if it's like, yeah, I would totally do that because whatever. Like, I would like to hear more full explanations as to why someone would want to do that, rather than be like, well, the present's more important and just taking, like, I don't know, because if you, okay, here's the thing, I can't build off of that. I just came to that conclusion. Like, if I were to have the most amazing time of my life, that I can't build off of that next week because I won't remember it next week. So I think that even though you're having, I don't know, like, no time is perfect, and you kind of put it in this utopian, like, everything works out, and then you don't learn or grow from that, and so much of what I want to do is learn and grow and be a better human, and just a better me, not a better human. I'm not human. But I think that, that's, maybe that's what it is. It says something about the fact that, like, I need to have interactions I can recall in order to grow from them and learn from them and do things based off of those things. I guess if I'm comparing life again to an abstract painting, or any painting, but especially an abstract painting, every single brushstroke is influences the next one. I can't do one thing without being like, what did I do 1 second before that? That influences the next thing. It informs the next decision. It's just, it informs the next color, the next placement of that color, how thick, how thin, whatever. I'm not going to go into all the allegories or examples and symbolism, but it's just like, that's the thing, is like with life, I guess for me, it's like everything builds off of that. Like everything has to build off of the experience I just had, and if there's a whole week missing, like, I won't even know that the week is missing. So then what's the point? And now I'm getting, it gets deep. It gets, like, confusing. It's like time travel at a certain point, where things can get really convoluted and confusing. And my brain, because just don't have a good one, just can't seem to pick some of those things apart and understand them to a degree. because yeah, like I guess that's the thing is like what my brain won't remember not remembering it. So then so why not do it? Why not just have the time of your life for a week, and then you don't remember it, but that's fine because you don't remember that you don't remember. You don't know that you missed out on remembering the great thing. You just experienced the great thing in that moment. And maybe part of the reason too is for me going into the moment, you would know it's going to end, and that you would know you wouldn't remember it, and that would psychologically mess with me. I think a little bit because of who I am, because I really don't like goodbyes, or like I don't like things ending. Like good things are hard to say goodbye to even when you have to. For me, it's really difficult to do those things. So that maybe that's part of it too, is that I don't like knowing that something is going to end, and sometimes I still participate in activities that I know will end, and I'm like, oh, I could just stop it right now, but I do silly things, and like I prolong an ending at times, even when it's not healthy to do that. And this is a whole different thing, because this is like, yeah, it's going to be fantastic, everything's going to be amazing, but still knowing that, yeah, this will end. I just don't think, for me, emotionally and mentally, I have the fortitude or the capacity to really just like live those moments 100% in that week that I'm on vacation island. And then not get sad about the fact that I'm not even going to remember this tomorrow, but hey, it's fun, like, let's just do it. I guess that's just not me. So I think I learned a little bit there, but I'm still really curious as to your thoughts, how you feel about either what I said and my opinions, or just your own. Pose the question to yourself, because I'm really curious about the other side of it. Yeah. See you on another time.